It's time to talk about June's Journey, a hidden object mystery game with a captivating detective story. When you're playing, you solve a mind-teasing mystery of the roaring 1920s while you dive into June's captivating quest to uncover a scandalous family secret and solve her sister's murder. It's mystery, it's danger, and it's romance, and you never know where the next chapter's gonna take you. If that wasn't fun enough, you get to customize your very own luxurious island estate. Seriously, I cannot stop playing. I am already on the 3rd chapter and I just started recently. Join me back in time in the glamorous 1920s. June needs your help, detective. Download June's Journey for free today on iOS and Android.
Now streaming on Apple TV+.
I am the accused of murder. Do you swear to tell the truth and nothing but the truth?
A limited series event from executive producers David E. Kelly and J.J. Abrams.
Were you and Caroline romantically involved?
I lied about the affair, but I didn't kill her.
Your fingerprints were found in her bedroom.
I was in love with her.
So you snapped.
Starring Jake Gyllenhaal, Ruth Negga, and Renata Reinsve.
I betrayed my wife and my children, but I did not kill her.
Presumed innocent. Now streaming only on Apple TV+.
Welcome to the Flash Finds podcast, the world's fastest podcast where we explore how Facebook can help you with the stuff you're into. I'm Emma Rogue, joined by Nathan the Cat Lady, a Facebook creator. So Nathan, if you're into pets, what kind of stuff can you find on Facebook?
Well, I make reels about useful tips for pet owners. For instance, cats don't like still water, so all of my cats have cat fountains.
Oh my gosh, that's so cute. What a great episode. See you next time on the Flash Finds podcast, all about discovering the stuff on Facebook you care about. Bye.
For just $2.99 a month, you can help the Murder Diaries podcast more than you already do by being a valued listener. In return, you get to listen ad-free. So head over to patreon.com/themurderdiariespod or search The Murder Diaries ad-free on Spotify. You can also subscribe on Apple Podcast. Again, $2.99 and you get to listen ad-free. Welcome back to The Murder Diaries. I'm Paige.
And I'm Natalie.
Just 26 years old and a proud mother of 3 young children. A newlywed described as having a heart of gold. One February night, her husband woke up and found her gone. A month later, a cattle rancher would discover her remains. Her name is Britney Tiger, and this is her story.
Used to think it's in my head, but I'm walking with the dead.
As we begin today's episode, we want to start with a huge thank you to Charlie Worrell. The research for this episode was generously gifted to us by Charlie, who is the host, writer, and producer for Crime Lines podcast. Thank you again so much, Charlie, for helping us make this episode possible to spread awareness about Britney Tiger's case. Britney Michelle Tiger was born in Dallas, Texas on June 20th, 1991, to Joseph Lee Tiger and Bernadine Bear Heels. The youngest of 3 daughters, she was a member of the Chicangu Lakota tribe, and her ancestry can be traced back to the Dakotas. Her mom said Britney's smile could light up a room. She loved to draw. She was kind and loving. She had the cutest personality. Friends and family describe her as an outgoing firecracker and kind, genuine, and gorgeous, even on the inside. Britney's family eventually settled in Ada, Oklahoma, a small town in the southeastern part of the state. Ada has a population of roughly 17,000. Britney attended school there from the age of 9 until she graduated high school. In 2014, when Britney was 23 years old, she married a man named Dakota. At the time, Britney had 2 young children from a previous relationship. She and Dakota then also had a child of their own together. Her marriage to Dakota ended after a couple of years, and Britney continued to be a devoted single mother to her children. In September 2017, a newly single Britney met a man named Will. Will had also been married before to a woman named Angela. The couple didn't have any children together, and a large reason of this is because Will spent most of their marriage in prison. 6 years prior to meeting Britney, Will brandished a shotgun and held up a bank in Choctaw, Oklahoma. He ended up stealing around $3,500. His wife, Angela, was the one who drove away the getaway van. Authorities quickly traced the van back to Will. Angela confessed to being an accomplice, but Will had threatened to hurt Angela's parents if she didn't drive the getaway van. Eventually, Will turned himself in to the McLeod Police Department in McLeod, Oklahoma. He pleaded guilty and was sentenced to time in federal prison. Angela was also charged because she knowingly spent some of the stolen money gambling at a nearby casino and paid for a motel room with it. Will was released in February of 2015. By the time he was released, Angela and he had already divorced while he was incarcerated. When Will and Britney met, he'd been out of prison for about 1.5 years. The two fell fast and hard for each other. Britney believed Will's criminal past was behind him, and soon after they met, she moved with her children into his house. From all outward appearances, they seemed to be happy. In April of 2017, about 6 months into their relationship, Will and Britney applied for a marriage license. But for whatever reason, they changed their minds. Then, a few months later, they reapplied and were married on August 13th, 2017. Married life at first seemed to agree with the couple. But in mid-February 2018, only 6 months after their wedding, Britney texted her mom around 11 p.m. She said she needed a break from Will and planned to visit her older sister in Texas. An hour later, Britney texted her mom to say everything was okay, but she was having some problems with her phone. Her mom, Bernadine, didn't hear from Britney again, but assumed it was because of her phone issues. After a few days, Bernadine became increasingly worried about her daughter when she'd still not heard from her. It was unusual for her to be out of touch for so long. Bernadine reached out to Will and asked if she knew where Britney was. He said that after Britney texted her, she left their house in the middle of the night. He didn't know where she was now. Bernadine then suggested to Will that he needed to file a missing persons report. He said he would, but never did.
When Britney's family discovered Will had never reported her missing, Britney's half-sister Christina did it herself on February 19th, 2018.
It had now been over a week since Britney had last texted her mom. The Ada police conducted a welfare check on Britney and found Will home alone. He told police he hadn't seen Britney since the night of February 10th. When asked about the events of that night, he said that Britney's kids were spending the week with their biological dads, so he and Britney went to bed early, hoping to catch up on some sleep. Around 3:30 in the morning on Sunday, February 11th, Will woke up to find Britney wasn't in bed. He got out of bed and looked in the living room, but she wasn't there either. When he looked around, the only belongings of Britney's that were missing were a few hoodies and her makeup bag. Will said he was annoyed that she left without telling him where she was going, but just chalked it up to Britney wanting some space. A really important piece here is that the couple didn't own a car. So Britney would have had to have left on foot or been picked up by someone else. Will told police that he didn't immediately report Britney missing because he didn't think a detective was on duty on Sundays. When asked why he didn't report her missing on Monday or any of the following days after that, he said it wasn't unusual for Britney to leave for a week at a time and figured she would eventually show back up. In the days after talking to police, Will didn't change his weekly routine. He seemingly made no effort to search for Britney or ask anyone if they knew her whereabouts. He kept to his normal work schedule, which included driving to Shawnee, another town in Oklahoma, about 45 minutes away.
After hearing Will's side of the story, Britney's family was skeptical, to say the least. No one agreed with his comment that it was normal for her to disappear and be out of touch for several days. They added that she would never abandon her kids voluntarily.
They found it suspicious that Will never reached out to any of Britney's family or friends to ask if they knew where she was. They felt that if he had made more of an effort to find her, it would have been more clear much sooner that she was missing and the police could have been involved right away. Britney's sister Jessica said she never went anywhere without Will. He was always right by her side. That's why we found it strange that when she first went missing, he didn't ever ask to see if she was at our house. But now that she'd been reported missing, Britney's picture and description were released to the press and posted on social media. She was described as being 5'2", 100 pounds with black hair and brown eyes. She had multiple tattoos, including a prominent one that's on her chest and neck. We made sure in our Instagram post to include a couple pictures of Britney that showcase this tattoo, including a picture of her missing poster, which in the lower right has a picture of a zoomed-in view of the tattoo. On March 16th, Britney's remains were found about 200 yards behind a fence in a field on County Road 3680, just a mile south of the Tullahoma Stomp Grounds in Pontotoc County. The property was roughly 10 to 15 miles east of Will and Britney's house. Pontotoc County Sheriff John Christian said a person who had that property leased and had cattle on it was out there with his children checking the cattle and actually drove up on Britney's remains, realized what it was, and called and reported it. We arrived shortly thereafter. Investigators determined the field where Britney's remains were discovered was not where she died. She was found on her back, her shirt pulled up a bit, her hands outstretched above her head. Clear signs that she'd been dragged to the spot where the rancher found her. The Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigation arrived to process the crime scene. The state medical examiner's office officially confirmed the body was Britney. The investigation was turned back over to the Ada Police Department because that's where the missing persons report had been originally filed. Her autopsy could not determine her cause of death, but that's not uncommon in cases where the body has unfortunately gone through some decomposition. However, severe wounds from a gunshot, stabbing, or blunt force trauma to the head would normally still be visible, despite said decomposition, but not in Britney's case. She had a contusion or hemorrhage on the right side of her chest, but the deteriorated condition of her remains made it difficult to know the full extent of her injuries. Dark hair was found in both her hands. Police did not release the detail of the length of the hairs or if they were consistent with Britney's hair. Even if the hairs were Britney's, it wouldn't rule out homicide. Even if she had fought back against an attacker, some of her long hair could have been pulled out during the struggle. Without a cause of death, authorities could not definitively determine if she died from natural causes, an accident, or homicide. They were able, however, to rule out suicide. The toxicology report did find a small amount of meth in Britney's liver. The amount was so small, it's unlikely to have caused an overdose. Britney's mom admitted her daughter had struggled with drugs before, but that did not define her or control her life. The accuracy of the toxicology report is also questionable because of how long her body had been in the natural elements before being found. While it definitely wasn't the news they wanted to hear, Britney's family said that they felt blessed they were given some sense of closure and could now give her a proper burial. They recognized that so many families of missing persons never get that opportunity.
Despite the circumstances surrounding Britney's death, the case was investigated as a suspicious death and not officially categorized as a homicide.
In September 2019, the Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigation offered a $10,000 reward for information about Britney's death. Sadly, Britney's case is not uncommon in the Native American community. Native American women go missing and murdered at higher rates than the national average. Britney's family continued to be suspicious of Will's involvement in her death. When they wrote her obituary, they used her maiden name of Tiger, not her maiden name of Gomez. Will's name was not mentioned anywhere in the obituary either. Britney's ex-husband Dakota, on the other hand, was asked by Britney's family to be a pallbearer. Her funeral service was held at the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in Ada. The bishop officiated and the burial followed at Rosedale Cemetery. The family received friends afterwards at Wintersmith Lodge. There, they shared a meal and celebrated Britney's life. Britney's friend Lacey Hatter said, "It's such a short life. She had so much going for her. It breaks my heart completely." In the months after Britney's funeral, her story bounced in and out of the news, but her case eventually went cold. On March 6, 2020, 2 years after Britney's remains were found, Ada police made an arrest. 25-year-old local resident Bodie was charged with unlawful disposal of a human body. He was held in lieu of a $500,000 bond at the Pontotoc County Justice Center. Multiple factors led to Bodie's arrest. Police received a tip from a woman who claimed Bodie told her he helped dispose of Britney's body. In October 2019, a different person overheard Bodie make the same claim at an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting. On top of all of that, police also had an eyewitness. One of Britney and Will's neighbors saw Bodie and another man carrying a suitcase out of Britney's home. The neighbor didn't think too much of it at the time, but grew concerned when they later heard Britney was missing. The other man with Bodie has never been publicly named and has never been arrested. When Bodie was charged by police, he was already locked up on unrelated charges. So he remained in jail and his lips remained sealed.
Now, here's where the law in Oklahoma gets a bit tricky. The Supreme Court recently ruled in McGirt versus Oklahoma that the state has no legal jurisdiction over crimes involving indigenous individuals on tribal lands. And it's worth noting that tribal lands make up roughly half of the state of Oklahoma. That's because the reservations were never disestablished by Congress.
As a result, Bodie's case was dismissed in state court, and Britney's investigation is now in the hands of federal investigators. Britney's mom said, "I don't mind working with the feds or whoever it is I have to work with because I want answers. I'll talk to whoever." Bernadine believes there are people who know what happened to Britney but haven't stepped forward. She said they need to get the courage to speak up, to do the right thing. If Bodie were to face federal charges and federal prison time, he may be willing to talk. While the federal investigation continues, he currently is in state prison serving a sentence for having been found with a shank.
Britney's family just wants to know what happened to her. And until then, they're left to pick up the pieces of their lives and try to be strong for Britney's 3 kids.
Jessica's sister said, "She was just a beautiful person. Everybody around her knew her. To know her is to love her. Please help my family. We just want justice for her. We want to know the truth. Give us that much." Again, Britney was 5'2", around 100 pounds, and 26 years old when she went missing. She has brown eyes and black hair. She has a very unique tattoo that you can see a picture of in our Instagram post. She's been missing since February 11th, 2018. She has ties to the Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, and Dallas, Texas areas. If you have any information, please call the Ada, Oklahoma Police Department at 580-332-4466.
That's it for this week, but be sure to follow us on all social media at The Murder Diaries Pod. We're everywhere. Instagram, TikTok, you name it. And until next time,
Stay safe.
Bye.
Seeking the truth never gets old. Introducing June's Journey, the free-to-play mobile game that will immerse you in a thrilling murder mystery. Join June Parker as she uncovers hidden objects and clues to solve her sister's death in a beautifully illustrated world set in the Roaring 20s. With new chapters added every week, the excitement never ends. Download June's Journey now on your Android or iOS device, or play on PC through Facebook Games.